We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and this is the Noble Qur'an in English, an English translation of the meanings and commentary, and it's coloured. It's coloured pictures throughout. We found this in the public domain, public access, so no copyright infringement was intentional or intended, and we bring it to all for educational purposes alone, so you'll have a better understanding of what the Quran is really all about. This was recommended after we consulted professional advice as to which one was the best, closest translation to the original Quran. It's in Arabic and English. Let's begin. The custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah ibn Abdul al-Aziz al-Saud, King of Saudi Arabia, had the honour to order the printing of this noble Quran with the translations of its meanings. The Noble Quran, English translations of the meaning and commentary, King Fahd, Glorious Quran Printing Complex. Endowment for Allah's sake from the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah ibn Abd al-Aziz al-Saud. Here are the two translators. Here is the contents with a brief index in the appendix and index of surah's chapters. And looks like it's in the Arabic. Here is some information in the English. In the name of Allah, or maybe this is a translation of the Arabic. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Foreword by this particular person. Minister for Islamic Affairs, Endowments, Dawah and Guidance, the Supervisor General of the Complex. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, who says in his glorious book, there has come to you from Allah a light and a plain book, and peace and blessings of Allah be upon the noblest of the prophets and messengers. Our Prophet Muhammad, his name is Prophet Muhammad, who has said, the best of you is who learns the Quran and teaches it. Following the directives of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah, may Allah guide him to give him the book of Allah all the importance due to it, its publication and its distribution throughout the world, preparation of its commentary and translation of its meanings into different languages of the world, and in view of the firm faith of the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, endowments, dawah, etc., etc. And here they start off with, we praise Allah subhanahu, etc., etc., for his favour to us in completing this great work, praying him to accept this as a sincere service for his sake and for the benefit of mankind. We are aware of the fact that the translation of the meanings of the glorious Quran, however accurate it may be, must fall short of conveying the wealth of meaning that the miraculous text of the original conveys, and that the meaning conveyed by the translation is only the sum total of what the translator has understood from the text of the glorious book of Allah, and that it cannot escape the defects and drawbacks that are inherent in every endeavour. We, the authors or the translators, therefore request every reader of this translation to furnish, it would be the translators, from the Arabic into the English. Request every reader of this translation to furnish the complex with any mistakes, omission and addition that he may find in it, so that they may be eliminated in subsequent editions, inshallah Allah. It is Allah who bestows success and guides to the straight path. O Allah, accept this service from us. Verily you are the all-hearer, the all-knower. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, the noble Quran, a miracle from Allah to Prophet Muhammad. And this Quran is not such as could ever be produced by other than Allah, the Lord of the heavens, or God of the heavens and the earth. But it is a confirmation of the revelation which was before it, example, the Torah and the Injil Gospel, and a full explanation of the book, i.e. laws decreed for mankind, wherein there is no doubt from the Lord of the Alhameen, mankind, jinn, and all that exists. V 1037. And here's something here in Arabic, translated into English. And whoever seeks a religion other than Islam, it will never be accepted of him, and in hereafter he will be one of the losers. V 385. Okay, this is according to the Qur'an, right? Narrated Abu Huraira, the Prophet, said, there was no prophet among the prophets, but was given miracles because of which people had belief. But what I have been given is a divine revelation which Allah, or God, has revealed to me. So I hope that my followers will be more than those of any other prophet on the day of resurrection. Hadith no 379. Volume number 9, Sahih al-Bukhari. Narrated Jabir ibn Abdullah. Some angels came to the Prophet Muhammad while he was sleeping. Some of them said he is sleeping, others said his eyes are sleeping but his heart is awake. Then they said, there is an example for this companion of yours. One of them said, then set forth an example for him. One of them said, he is sleeping. Another said, his eyes are sleeping but his heart is awake. Did we just read that? Okay, no, let's do it again. Then they said, his example is that of a man who built a house and then offered therein a banquet and sent an inviter, a messenger, to invite the people. So whoever accepted the invitation of the inviter entered the house and ate of the banquet, and whoever did not accept the invitation of the inviter did not enter the house, nor did he eat of the banquet. Then the angel said, interpret this parable to him so that he may understand it. One of them said, he is sleeping. The other said, his eyes are sleeping but his heart is awake. Okay, they're repeating it again, right? And then they said, the house stands for paradise and the call maker is Muhammad. And whoever obeys Muhammad obeys Allah, or God. And whoever disobeys Muhammad disobeys Allah, or God. Muhammad separated the people, example, through his message. The good is distinguished from the bad and the believers from the disbelievers. Hadith number 385, volume number 9, Sahih al-Bukhari. Narrated Abu Huraira, Allah's messenger, said, both in this world and hereafter I am the nearest of all the people to Isa, Jesus, the son of Mary. The prophets are paternal brothers, their mothers are different, but their religion is one, i.e. Islamic monotheism. Hadith number 652, volume number 4, Sahih al-Bukhari. Both in this world and hereafter, and he's claiming here he's the nearest of all the people to Jesus, the son of Mary. All the prophets are paternal brothers, yet their mothers are different, but their religion is one. They're basically all the same, be it Judaism, Islam, or perhaps the people of the book that Muhammad admired. Not too sure on that one there. Could be also referring to Christianity. Surah 1 Al-Fatiha, the opening. This is probably after they've done their, is it Wahdi, something like that? Yeah, what they do to start off in their mosque. In the name of Allah, or God, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise and thanks are Allah's, or God's. The Lord exists of the Alhameen, mankind, jinn, and all that exists. Okay, so it's got some translation here down the bottom. Okay, there's no brackets here by the look of it. But then again, when it's translated, it might have these little numbers within these brackets, just for reference only. But the rest of the text, like here, is not bracketed by the look of it to start. That person who asked, was the original bracketed? Okay, down here it says V12. Lord, the actual word used in the Quran is Rab. There's no proper equivalent for Rab in English language. It means the one and the only Lord for all the universe. its creator, owner, organizer, provider, master, planner, sustainer, cherisher, and giver of security. Rab is also one of the names of Allah. We have used the word Lord as they have used the word Lord as the nearest to Rab. All occurrences of Lord in the interpretation of the meaning of the Noble Quran actually means Rab and should be understood as such. So you have to think about that one. Those who are new to the Quran and want to know exactly what the Quran has to say or is saying. Okay, Lord. The actual word is used in the Quran is Rab. Rab. There's no proper equivalent for Rab in English language. It's like Muta in the original ancient, very old Lisana Tika Sapraya, the language that God spoke to Adam and Eve in the garden. There was the Muta, which is the manifestation of God, talking about the Son of God. But in that language, there is no English equivalent for the word Muta. So the translator, Victor and Alexander, a native-born Aramaic, fluent Aramaic-speaking translator from Mesopotamia, Syria, had to run around and find a word that fitted it, and the word that fitted it, or compared with what the Eastern writers were trying to say, to get across, to express. There's no English equivalent, so he had to find a word similar, and he found the word manifestation, meaning that the Son of God, the uncreated Creator, was not yet revealed or manifested, known to any man. Okay, perhaps to Adam and Eve, but anyone after that, Cain, after Cain, etc., he wasn't revealed until he came as God in the flesh, and then he was revealed to man. Supposedly, throughout the Old Testament, he was there. Now again, he may have been in bodily form to those people, Moses, etc., or Abraham, but he is never widely known to those Israelites later on and up to the house of Israel in the New Testament. So no one could really look upon God and see his face, look at his face and hope to stay alive. Moses knew that, others knew that. And he saw his back or his shoulders, right? And he even states in the Bible, you can't look at my face and hope to live, you'll die. Okay? So his son, the uncreated Creator, Son of God, Yeshua Mashiach, came in the flesh, was born a man, so that he could dwell amongst people, men, women, children, etc., the Israelites, who were that chosen nation of God. Moses helped to liberate them from Egypt because on God's commandment, and he told them, you are that chosen nation and you have to become this holy nation, etc., because through you everything about me comes through you. Salvation came through the Jews, comes through the Jews, i.e. Jesus Christ, comes through that line, that lineage. So they would eventually tell these non-Jews, these foreigners, these Gentiles or Goyim, about God, and then be welcomed as his children and have that salvation and be able in the afterlife go into the kingdom of God and have eternal life, as the Jews, etc., were promised, right? They were given that gift. Okay, so these people have used the word Lord as the nearest to Rab. All occurrences of Lord in the interpretation of the meaning of the Noble Quran actually mean Rab and should be understood as such. Verse 1-2, narrated Abu Sa'id ibn al-Mu'alla, or Mu'alla, whatever that he say, al-Mu'ula, maybe. While he was praying in the mosque, Allah's messenger, God's messenger, called him, but he did not respond to him. Later he said, "Oh, Allah's messenger was praying." He said, "Didn't Allah say, answer Allah by obeying him and his messenger when he calls you?" Verse 824. He then said to him, "I will teach you a surah, which is the greatest surah in the Qur'an, before you leave the mosque." Then he got hold of his hand, and when he intended to leave the mosque, he said to him, "Didn't you say to me, I will teach you a surah, which is the greatest surah in the Qur'an?" He said, "Alhamdu lillahi rabbi alamin." For example, or an example, all praise and thanks are Allah's, God's, the Lord of the Alamin, mankind, jinn, and all that exists. Surat al-Fatiha, which is Asab al-Mathani, the 7 repeatedly recited verses in the Grand Quran, which has been given to me. Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 6, hadith number 1. Okay, so basically, you have, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, all praise and thanks are Allah's, the Lord of the Alamin, mankind, jinn, and all that exists. 3. The most gracious, the most merciful, the only owner and the only ruling judge of the day of recompense, i.e. the day of resurrection. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help for each and everything. So they're just praying to that one God. That's why they're monotheistic. They only believe in the one God. There is no other God. He has no co-equal, etc., etc. Guide us the straight way. So here they're not professing, but you have the Son of God, etc., etc. Just you, God, and God alone, or Allah alone. The way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace. Let's have a look at 4. Verse 1:7. I.e. the way of the prophets, the Siddiqeen, i.e. those followers of the Prophet Muhammad, who were first and foremost to believe in him, like Abu Bakr as Siddiq, the martyrs and the righteous as Allah said, and whoso obeys Allah, God, and the messengers Muhammad, and the messenger Muhammad, then they will be in the company of those on whom Allah has bestowed his grace, of the prophets, the Siddiqeen, the martyrs, and the righteous, and how excellent these companions are. Verse 469. So it's referring to that one people, okay, who are the followers of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so those who obeyed Allah, or God, and the messenger Muhammad through his grace, they'll all be in company of each other, something like that. It's really small and hard to read. We should boost it up a bit so you can see it. There you go, it's better. And how excellent these companions are. Let's bring up here a bit. Okay, the way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not the way of those who earned your anger. Example, those whose intentions are perverted, they know the truth yet do not follow it, nor of those who went astray, i.e. those who have lost the true knowledge, so they wander in error and not guided to the truth. Okay, so this would be those whose intentions are perverted. They would be those non-believers, the infidels, and those who are not of this particular religion, right? And those who have been, or had the truth, probably prior to them, that didn't follow it. They made mistakes, they had flaws, contradictions, all that sort of stuff. They were in error, and they weren't guided to the truth. And here's a narration by this particular person here. Narrated, it says the Prophet met Zayd, etc., etc., in the bottom of the valley of Baldar before the descent of any divine revelation to the Prophet Muhammad. A meal was presented to the Prophet Muhammad, but he refused to eat from it. Then it was presented to Zayd, who said, I do not eat anything which you slaughter on your nusub, in the name of your idols. I'm going to say, see the glossary for that meaning of that word. Etc. Only eat those animal meats on which Allah or God's name has been mentioned at the time of their slaughtering. Zayd bin Amr used to criticize the way Quraysh used to slaughter the animals, and used to say Allah has created the sheep and he has sent the water for it from the sky, and he has grown the grass for it from the earth, yet you slaughter it in others than in the name of Allah. He used to say so, for he rejected that practice and considered it as something abominable. And there's more narration here by somebody else. the region comprising to Syria, Lebanon, Palestine and Jordan, inquiring about a true religion to follow. He met a Jewish religious scholar and asked him about their religion. He said, I intend to embrace your religion, so tell me something about it. The Jew said, you will not embrace our religion unless you receive your share of Allah's anger, or God's anger. Zaid said, I do not run except from Allah's anger, and I will never be a bit of it if I have the power to avoid it. Can you tell me of some other religion? He said, I do not know any other religion except Hanif, Islamic monotheism. Zaid inquired, what is Hanif? He said, Hanif is the religion of the Prophet Abraham, of the Patriarchate. He was neither a Jew nor a Christian. Of course, he was a Hebrew Chaldean, right? Because that's who he was born, era of Chaldea, supposedly. And he used to worship none but Allah, okay, alone. So basically saying the Islamic God. Okay, it's not saying Ilah or Eloah or Allah or anything like that. It's saying Allah. It's referring to this one, the name that they use. Islamic monotheism. So that's what you're trying to say here. Okay, that is into this Islamic monotheism. Then Zaid went out and met a Christian religious scholar and told him the same as before. The Christian said, so when did these people become called Christians? In Abraham's days, because it's a Roman loan word from the Greek, which meant, like there was Christos, etc., which meant slave too. And they're talking specifically about the Christus, or the Christ, those who are slaves to him. So when did they get called Christians? In the earliest days of the Hebrew, Chaldeans, Arameans, Hebrews, Israelites, etc. You will not embrace, because they're Christian there would mean that they believed in Jesus Christ. So then this couldn't be from that Christian era, right? The era of Christ. Okay, because Christ was a manifestation of God. He wasn't yet revealed to those in the New Testament era. Okay, they only really heard about him after that, sometime before that or after that. And then Mohammedanism, or this Islam, wasn't around to the 6th or 7th century. Okay, but they try to say, Adam and Eve were Muslim. Abraham was a Muslim, all this sort of stuff.